I lead the product team for ElastiCache and MemoryDB. Those are our fully managed caching services for Valkey, Memcached, and Redis.
Why are you so excited about Valkey?
The thing that excites me the most about Valkey, it's one of the few projects out there that from its inception has kind of really taken off. It's got a rich community. It's got multiple vendors. It's vendor neutral. One of the things I really love is there's no drama in the community. It's one of those communities where things just seem to work. The community wants to take the project forward together. And we see this very much as a flywheel, right? So if Valkey does well, I think we as AWS do well. We're heavily invested. And the thing that gets me very excited about Valkey is customers are solving very real problems with Valkey.
ElastiCache is probably the largest caching service in the world. And really putting your weight behind Valkey, I think, helps kind of make the ecosystem take off. The pace of innovation inside of Valkey has been just extraordinary. It's dizzying. The community keeps making Valkey faster and more capable and more efficient, which means that people are going to use less EC2 instances and less ElastiCaches. Does that keep you up at night?
Our goal is to keep raising the bar on security, performance, efficiency, pick your favorite vertical that production-ready workloads need. We want to keep raising the bar. We see memory efficiencies as a big part of it, right? If we enable customers to do more with lesser and lesser cost, we see them using us more and more. And we've seen enough evidences of that through data and time as a company where it doesn't used to keep us up a lot more. I think it keeps us up a little bit less now because we know we're doing the right thing for our customers. And at the end of the day, if you work backwards some customers, usage comes.
With ElastiCache. It's also probably the oldest service in terms of not only is the biggest caching service, probably one of the first services that offered high performance caching inside the cloud. It's got multiple ways to provision itself. And I'm curious, you've got a serverless model and a server full model. Why have both?
If you go look back at the history of the service, ElastiCache was launched as an instance-based service, right? You could pick your favorite instance type, pick your favorite configuration, support M series, R series, T series, and depending on your workload, you would choose the right instance type. This was fine for several years. Customers were very happy with it. They were okay to go do that. I think as time has evolved, we've heard more and more from customers that, look, we don't have to worry about all this. We just want to, go to our CLI or now go to our agent and say, hey, just get me a cache. I want my cache to be up in a minute. Don't want to have to spend too much money on it. We have a nice free tier now for serverless too. And I want to be able to connect to it. And I want to not have to worry about how many nodes do I need, how many shards do I need, whether it will scale to my demand. Just I want to come, create, get an endpoint, hit that endpoint as hard or not as hard as I want. And you guys take care of all the scaling. You guys take care of figuring out which instances you guys should be running under the hood. So we heard a lot of that from customers, and that's when we launched serverless. So serverless on ElastiCache was launched in 2023, December, at reInvent. And I think since then, we've seen more and more customers gravitate towards serverless for new workloads. Typically, what we see on ElastiCache is if someone's bringing a new workload to the service, they're very likely or more likely to get started on serverless simply because it's zero infrastructure management. You don't have to worry about infrastructure. You don't have to worry about scaling. You come, you get an endpoint, you hit it. We worry about everything else, right? And I think we want almost all our customers to go use serverless. Now, if you have a very optimized workload where, serverless just doesn't make sense for you, a very heavily optimized workload, you're doing some very specific things. Let's say you're using data tiering. We don't support data tiering on serverless. There's reasons for it. We have a very optimized workload that needs data tiering. Yes, then you're going to go use instance-based, right? So we also do want to give customers choices for very specifically optimized workloads that need some very specific features that we either don't support on serverless today or may not ever support on serverless. And for those workloads, we still have our instance-based offering. But we very much see kind of serverless Valkey as our flagship product. And that's where we want all our customers to be because we think it's the best customer experience. We hear that from customers all the time. For instance, at reInvent, Scopely launched their Monopoly Go game on ElastiCache Serverless. And I think one of the things they said was we are not a team of experts who know how to manage caches. We are a team of experts who know how to build the best games. But we wanted to have the right technology behind to back our demand. And, ElastiCache was able to do that, something along those lines. I think it's a public video too now. So we're hearing more and more of customers like Scopely who just want to offload the problem to us. And that's why we see serverless as our flagship product.
Is ElastiCache the only way that people use Valkey on AWS on EC2? Do you see a lot of people adopting Valkey in self-managed ways as well?
We do definitely see a lot of customers using Valkey on just self-managing it on EC2. In fact, there are several customers who prefer to self-manage. There's two segments of customers we see. One, who we don't want to deal with any of the infrastructure work. We don't want to deal with managing the cache. We're not good at it. And those customers will by default come to ElastiCache, very likely to go to serverless. There's another segment of customers who actually want the control. They would rather not use a managed service. And for those customers, we continue to see Valkey on EC2. And that continues to be an option. We're very happy for that to be an option. One of the things we're very excited about is the Kubernetes operator that the community is working on, which we think will make it significantly easier for you to self-manage your caches, giving you some of the benefits of the Kubernetes as a control plane, allowing you to scale a little bit more efficiently and effectively versus just running it on EC2. So there's some good investments even in the community that part of folks at AWS are partly contributing with help, obviously, from the community that we're very excited about.
I can't tell you how refreshing it is to hear the glass half full mentality. Oftentimes in open source, what we see is one particular company is kind of monetizing it, and they have an incentive not to make this thing more efficient because then it means fewer cores, fewer nodes. But you're happy to make Valkey more efficient, and you're happy if people are just running it themselves on EC2, which takes away from your service, but it gives customers the flexibility. That's just really refreshing to hear.
Yeah, at the end of the day, we are working backwards from customers. So if customers want to run on ElastiCache, we want to make it the best place to run Valkey. If customers want the control and they have a large team of experts who know how to cache, we would rather them go run that caching workload in AWS as in a self-managed environment than go elsewhere. At the end of the day, as AWS, we would love for them to use us as a cloud. And that's our goal, right? Meet them where they are, give them the choice that they want, and then make our managed offering the best Valkey managed offering out there, and try to win workloads that way.
That's great. Now let's talk about another myth that I often hear. Is AWS the only supporter?
Absolutely not. Valkey was born when Redis changed their licensing. So this was a little more than a year ago, almost 2 years ago now. Several of these vendors, including Amazon, Oracle, Percona, Ivan, Google, Ericsson, got together and were like, okay, can we go create a project to handle the licensing change? And that's how Valkey was born. One of the things I love about Valkey, it's vendor neutral. So there's 9 TSC members. Amazon's got a couple, a few, but there's also 6 others, right?
Wow.
And I think, yes, we are one of the big contributors, but there's others. And that's how it started. And I think one of our goals is for that to continue happening. So that's why we have RFCs. All the work we do is in the open. Amazon doesn't just commit anything to Valkey without feedback from the community. So it's a big part of yes, we're one of the big contributors, but we would love for others to also contribute because it eventually actually also benefits us, right? Imagine 8 other folks contributing to Valkey, that's something that's beneficial to our customers. Now we don't need to go build that. We get that from the community. So that's the open source flywheel, that if you do have an open source project which has a community backing it, communities bought in, everyone benefits from it. And that's really what we're trying to do with Valkey.
These words are so much easier to say, but just in practice, I still am in a little bit of a disbelief where the low drama, where everybody is actually contributing, there isn't really any fight for control. We see meaningful contributions from everybody, Google's whole contribution around hash slot migrations and
vector search.
Right? It's kind of mind-boggling that, because a lot of open source projects in their first year, they're just trying to figure out who's doing what. Whereas here, I just see people contributing. And now we see contributions not only on the individual engine level, but also how to manage the bigger clusters together, distributed systems aspects, the Kubernetes operator that you mentioned, quite refreshing as well. Valkey is going to keep getting faster. It's going to keep getting more efficient. But the landscape for caching is changing a little bit as well. You mentioned Mem0, but I'm curious, what do you imagine caching to look like, in the next 2 years?
Fascinating question. We talk about this a lot as a product team. I think it really depends on how you define caching, right? I think there's the pure caching use cases where customers will use Valkey and virtue of that ElastiCache in front of a database. Like think about you have a Postgres database, you have 3 read replicas. You feel like you could go from 3 to 1 read replica by adding a cache on it because the cache is way faster.
See this all the time in production, right?
That's a very common use case, and that's the more typical use case that we see for caching. Now, what we're seeing more and more use cases spring up is where customers are trying to use this as a feature store, a session store, a rate limiter. A lot of these use cases are one where they don't use us as a traditional cache. They don't use Valkey as a traditional cache. Instead, they use us as a primary data store. One of the RFCs that's open in the Valkey community is on persistence or durability. That one's very interesting because if Valkey can claim durability, it could essentially even act as a database and provide the best of both worlds. And imagine a world where you have durability with a configurable RPO setting where you can say like you want to lose 0 seconds of write or up to a second. And then, you have this nice little configurable toggle that you can switch between and go for like full cache mode or full database mode, right? And I see Valkey and virtue of that caching evolve in that direction. So yes, you'll still continue to have kind of the bread and butter, slap it in front of a database. That's growing. It's going to continue growing. But more and more of these use cases where customers will use Valkey as a primary data store because it's got a really nice API. It's blazing fast. It's getting more and more efficient. It's community backing it. And that's where I see it evolving in the next 2 years. It's just beyond your traditional caching use cases, but more of these use cases that have recently been starting to come up.
I'm so happy that answer wasn't just AI and a bunch of AI slop added to it. Like this was actually a really grounded answer. I share that passion where I often see people using a database for temporary data. Like feature store is a great example where I was talking to a customer where they said, well, we're using a database for our feature store, but we want lower latencies and we just overwrite the data all the time. Like once a day, we're regenerating the data. So we just need to be able to ingest the data a lot faster. And it's like, well, that's exactly what a system like Valkey can do. In addition to the durability and replication and resilience, so we're like the robustness of the ecosystem also matters a lot. And now what I'm seeing with atomic salt migration and like the billion RPS blog that the ElastiCache team did recently, like you can manage very large scale Valkey clusters.
Correct.
So you can ingest a lot of very, very large feature stores and just get customers going very quickly. I also really love the configurable RPO setting.
Like that one, I'm like, time will tell where that goes. The RFC is still open. But like those are the kind of things, like you mentioned AI, right? It also helps AI workloads.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So I'm not saying that we will not see workloads coming there, but if you build the right foundational service and the product and the Valkey as a project can be that, becomes very easy for cloud code to figure out, yep, I should actually go use Valkey, right? But for that, we need to also evolve the Valkey project in the right direction. And I think that's what the community is doing and what makes me very happy. There's a lot of work we need to do on content. Like we've talked about this, right? Valkey is great for a lot of AI workloads. We don't write about it enough. We should write about it more. So that organically will happen and something we should, as a community, do better because Valkey is a great option for a lot of these workloads.
It's one of the few pieces of software where I see a lot of engineering and very little marketing around it. Usually it's inverted.
It's inverted,
but like it's so easy. I do a lot of content generation for Valkey. It's been the easiest project to do content on because there's just all this innovation
you have a lot to write about.
People haven't written about and share with the world, and it's very fulfilling to share with people what Valkey can do. I also love this focus on the core fundamentals, right? Like Jeff Bezos had said for retail, there's like these truths that are always going to exist. People are always going to want their stuff faster and they're always going to want it cheaper. And I feel like you're doing that for Valkey. You're just making like the fundamentals is to be cheaper, more efficient, faster.
And run it at scale.
And run it at scale. That's so that would be like the selection
Yeah.
analogy for the retail side. The other part of Valkey that I'd love to hear from you about is the community. You touched a lot about the governance board. These are
Yep.
the leaders that
Yep.
have the seat at the table. But I also see a bunch of grassroots things. I'd love to hear what are you seeing on the Slack channels? What are you
Yeah.
seeing in the in-person meetups and the webinars and so forth? What's been your observations there?
Yeah. So I think you rightly called out. There's lots of different chapters of folks trying to get the Valkey community together,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm seeing lots of springs of that, which
Mm-hmm.
is great. Like very recently, we had a college student that we learned that basically was trying to go and get a course, like a hackathon, going on how to build with Valkey, which I thought was
Wow.
interesting. There was an event in San Jose recently.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Unlocked,
Yeah.
and done with partnership with Memento. So AWS and Memento co-hosted it. You were one of the co-hosts. Like events like that are very exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I think the San Jose Unlocked really energized me, even though I wasn't physically there. A lot of my team was there. Things I heard from that is like said customers telling another said customer that Valkey is awesome and you guys should use
Yep.
Valkey, and that said customer is using another caching provider, right? So I see that to be an amazing kind of anecdote where the community is coming together and trying to help each other out. I think there was also some really good presentations at the previous Unlocked where people were talking about how they've managed some of the largest clusters at
Yep.
scale, like some of the biggest practitioners of caching workloads,
Mm-hmm.
Memcached, Valkey, Redis, they were there.
Yep.
Right. And I think the right people were in the room,
Oh
and
yeah.
that was
Real practitioners.
real practitioners, and I think that was great to get those folks in a room. And I think for folks maybe on listening to us, maybe know or do not know, we are doing another Unlocked in Seattle.
Wow.
So
soon?
so soon. I think that I would really love to do these once a quarter.
Yep.
So we're doing another one in Seattle. It's on May 7th.
Mm-hmm.
I think the registration page is live. If you just go look for Unlocked Seattle, you'll probably
Put it in the link as
we'll
well.
put in the link as well. And I think our goal is to get even more of these caching practitioners in the room, even get more of the developers who build with Valkey, Redis, and Memcached in the room. So I think it's going to be an exciting event. Amazon is sponsoring it.
Mhm.
Google's one of the co-sponsors, which is super exciting. Momento's continuing to lead here, and you're going to be one of the sponsors and hosts. So I think it's going to be very exciting. Excited, specifically
Yeah.
because it's Seattle.
Yeah.
So I'll be there. Several members from my team will be there. So that's
There's
happening.
great companies coming. At the last one we had Snap, Apple,
Yeah.
Uber, Mercado Libre,
Yeah.
all the way from South America, Nubank.
Yep.
They were all there sharing their challenges. And they each had different challenges that the other one was going to have later. And it was just nice to see this community. I will say that in addition to these in-person meetups, like the Slack for Valkey is nothing that I've ever seen before. It's, there's people from different companies
Yeah.
just talking, helping each other. People are just in a safe place, just talking about their benchmarks, comparing different deployment options and so forth. And it's just a very lively
Yeah.
community, even online.
For me, it often
Yep.
even becomes harder to keep up. Like that's how many conversations are happening on the Valkey Slack.
Yep.
That I could spend the whole day just trying to learn, keep up.
It's become my new LinkedIn
Yeah.
because I can go reach people at all kinds of companies.
That's a very
right
good
in there.
point. Yeah. So yeah, so that's totally blown up. I think one of the things we've done as an ElastiCache team is we're encouraging every member of our team
Yep.
to at least be there,
Mhm.
even if you're not contributing, consume stuff in a read-only mode.
It's a voice of the customer, right?
Exactly.
You get to see what people
Yeah.
are struggling with, what they want.
Like my product managers ask me all the time, it's like, hey, how can I talk to more customers? And I'm like, hey, you can talk to 10 enterprise customers. Great, you should do that.
Mhm.
But go listen to folks on the Valkey Slack. You'll probably get a good anecdote here and there, and then you can actually go ping those people, right? It's a lot. You get a direct line with the customer, which has been super exciting.
Meet, it's been a pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to come talk about the community and for sharing your enthusiasm and passion for it.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me over, and look forward to coming on more of these.
Awesome.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Thank you.